Hello everyone, this is Satyaprakash. Welcome to my channel. In this session, I'll show you what is HTTP Interceptor and how to implement HTTP Interceptor in Angular while using REST API or Web API. So guys, before going through this video, please visit my some related videos for this, that is how to consume ASP.NET Web API using Angular and Bootstrap. So you will get this video in my playlist called ASP.NET Web API tutorial. So the video number is 21, and there is one more related videos, that is how to fix CORS in Angular when calling external REST APIs or Web API. So you will get this video number 6 in my playlist called Angular application. So these two videos are important, and after this going through these two videos, then you can watch these videos. Okay, so guys, here in HTTP Interceptor there is few points, that is what is HTTP Interceptor, operations of HTTP Interceptor, HTTP Interceptors in Angular, what are the merits of using HTTP Interceptors, and the steps to implement HTTP Interceptors. So guys, HTTP Interceptor is a special type of Angular service that we can implement. It is used to apply custom logic to the central point between the client side and server side, which are outgoing or incoming HTTP request and response. So there is one point we need to keep in mind, that interceptors want only HTTP requests. Okay, so here I'll give you one real-time example. There is three things. One is UI, that is Angular app. Interceptor is the middle layer, and the third part is server or database part. So interceptors is acting as a middle layer between the Angular application and the database. So whatever request is coming from the Angular, it will go through the interceptor to the database, and what are the responses we are getting from database or server side through the interceptors then to the Angular application. So here HTTP interceptors is acting like a third party or middle layer between the Angular application and server. Okay guys, so here discuss, that is what is HTTP interceptor. Okay, so this is the points I have mentioned, what is HTTP interceptors, and these are the operations of HTTP interceptor. So HTTP interceptor, as I told you, these are used to apply some custom logic between client and server for outgoing or incoming request and response. And there is operations, that is why we use the HTTP interceptor for modify the HTTP header, request body, set authorization or authentication token, modify HTTP response, and error handling. And there is HTTP interceptor in Angular. So there's few definitions I have mentioned here, which are very helpful for basic understanding as well as your interview questions you will get. That is, HTTP interceptor is used when your authentication authorization are applied in the application, and there is some interceptor want only HTTP request. Okay, and HTTP interceptors are in Angular classes which implement the HTTP interceptor interface. So this HTTP interceptor defines a single method called intercept, then which takes two parameters, HTTP request and HTTP handler. Okay, so these are the three important points, that is what is HTTP interceptor, operations of HTTP interceptor, and HTTP interceptors in Angular. So what are the merits of HTTP interceptors? So these are the I mentioned these points of what the merits. So we can centralize the code for cross-cutting concerns, testability and reusability, global application level modification, error handling and logging, caching and request or response manipulations, separation of concern, security and authentication, easy integration with third-party libraries. So these are the points for the merits of HTTP interceptors, and these points have few lines of descriptions I have mentioned here for your getting basic knowledge on it. So guys, here I will go to the how to implement the HTTP interceptors. Okay, so to implement HTTP interceptor, guys, I told you to go through my related videos in my YouTube channel. So here it is my web API which I have integrated in my Angular application. Okay, so here I have run my web API application. Okay, and I'm getting this response as well. Okay, so /API/employee, so I'm getting these responses. So these things I already have discussed these two videos, what are my ASP.NET Web API tutorial and Angular tutorial playlists. So I'll go to the implementation of interceptors. So guys, there is few points we need to I just mentioned here. Okay, so there are total 6 points. So first step is we need to execute this command for interceptors. So ng generate interceptor headers. Okay, so to execute it, you just click on 3 dot terminal and a new terminal, okay, in your VS Code. And what you'll do, you just execute this command here. So you just paste here and you can execute it. So I already have executed this command, so no need to execute again. So after execute successfully, I am getting these 2 files of header interceptor.spec.ts and headers.interceptor.ts. okay, so guys, here I'll just describe this code. So here what is the code is, so you just see here there is one HTTP interceptor package here on the import section, right? So in the import section, so there is injectable, import HTTP request handler, HTTP event, HTTP interceptors, and it is from the package this one, and import observable from RxJS. okay, and here I have there is one export class interceptor, headers interceptor implements. So this HTTP interceptor is nothing but a interface. okay, so you see here, if you just put your mouse over on it, you can see it is an interface. okay, and this is the class, and it is the interface, and there's some description of this interface as well. So it intercepts and handles an HTTP request or HTTP response. So as I told you, this HTTP interceptor has a method called intercept. okay, and there is some definitions. So this intercept method has take only HTTP request. okay, as I see here, this is the parameter, and it takes only HTTP request, and then it's operate the handle method. So you should see here, so this is the one more parameter is HTTP handler, so it's operate the handle method. okay, and this is the code, this is the default code. okay, I just mentioned this code, I'll describe this code as well in my next step. okay, so this is all about the default code while we create the interceptor. So here guys, one more thing is we need to write some interceptor registration. So we need to register the HTTP interceptor to use in the application. So to register this, what I'll do is, so you just click on app.module.ts file. okay, and here we need to register. So to register, you just find out that is we need to import these 3 packages. okay, that is import, I'll tell you here in the code, that is the import HTTP client model and HTTP interface underscore HTTP underscore interceptors. So it is a multi-provider token that represents the array of registered HTTP interceptor objects. okay, so this is the one import section. Another import section is HTTP interceptor from headers interceptor. okay, this is the path of my installed path of my header interceptor. okay, and here we need to register as I told you. So to register, we need to add inside the provider section of app.module.ts file. So this is the line of header interceptor, that is provide : HTTP interceptors and the user class. okay, so user class already inside the header.interceptors.ts file, and mult it true. okay, this property should be true. So this we need to register for header interceptor. okay, so guys, this interceptor will execute for every HTTP request of a client. okay, and then we need to modifying the HTTP header by interceptors. So for this, what I'll do is I just click on headers.interceptor.ts file. So inside the intercept method, okay, this is the closing, and we need to add these lines of code for modifying the HTTP headers by interceptor. So there is, we need to, for API key, we just mention its value, it mentions username as you customized. okay, so there is, I have one API key, and I have mentioned this value, that is Satyaprakash admin, and inside the request parameter I just there is mention the set header, and API key should be mentioned, pass this value to the API key. okay, So this API key is a property while in the request header. I'll show you while execute the run our application. Okay, so these lines of code I have added for modifying HTTP headers by interceptor. Okay, so guys, here what I'll do is I need to execute my run my application. So to run our Angular application, what it is ng serve. So guys, here my Angular application compiled successfully, and I can able to control the click the link and it will open our Angular application. So before that, I just one point need to mention, in app.component.html file I need to add these lines of code. That is, I have added one button, and inside button control click event I just call this get all members. Okay, as I told you already in my previous videos, that is get all members, this method will display all the records while we consume the service REST APIs in our service. So there is member.service.ts file. So this service.ts file has a get all members method. Okay, so this method will get all the records from our REST APIs. So I just call this method in my click event of button control. So same event also I have mentioned inside app.component.ts file. Okay, get all members. So it will display all the employees from the REST APIs, that is from REST APIs whatever the response. So it will display all the records including while I call this method. So here, that's why in app.component.html file I have called this method on the click event, and this is the button name. Okay guys, so I need to copy this URL and go to my browser, and I just refresh it. So guys, here you can see this is the Angular application output. Okay, so what I'll do is I just open the browser inspect window, right click on it, click on inspect element. Okay, while you inspect element, you'll go to the network tab, and in the network tab what I'll do is you just click on the get records from web API button here, right, on your Angular application. So click on it. While I click on it, I am getting here, you can see the employees method, and this is the some related files. Okay, so here what I'll do is if you put your mouse over, I can getting the same URL whatever my REST API URL. Okay, because I have consumed this URL REST API URL in my Angular application, so that while I click mouse over on it, I am getting the URL. Okay, and if you double click on it, so there is few sections you are getting, that is from headers, there is general, response, and request. So as for our code that is in our Angular application, I have created header interceptors for modifying the HTTP headers. So we just check the request HTTP header, so I need to expand this. Okay, while I expand this, guys, here you can see there is one API underscore key. So this name is showing Satyaprakash admin, right, because in API key I have mentioned the name as Satyaprakash admin, so that in my Angular application network tab of request header, it's showing API key Satyaprakash admin. So in this way we can modify the HTTP header by interceptors in our Angular application using REST API. Okay, so guys, same way what I'll do is I go to my VS Code. Okay, and we can also implement the multiple interceptors. Okay, so to multiple interceptors, I'll tell you the steps also here. So clear the screen. Okay, so multiple interceptors, it is possible to use multiple interceptors simultaneously like headers. So we can implement like headers, footers, response, body interceptors like this. So these are called the multiple interceptors. So just need to maintain the serial which service will execute before and after. This serialization is defined in provider registration, meaning the interceptor service will execute according to the provider registration serialization. Okay guys, so I'll tell you same way. The step number 2 is I need to add I need to create the interceptor for response. So same way, just copy this command, go to here terminal and execute this. Okay, after execute successfully this response interceptor, I am getting the response interceptor code like header interceptor. So this is the default code, is as I already told you, the import section, and next import section has HTTP request, HTTP handler, HTTP event, HTTP interceptor, and HTTP response. Okay, so there is one external is HTTP response. And import section, I need to add this map observable and from RxJS. Okay, and the same way response interceptor is a class and it is a interface, right, because it imports the HTTP interceptor. So here it is the interface and it has the intercept method. Okay, and the request has the HTTP request parameter, HTTP request, and it has the there is one parameter next. It will transform an HTTP request into stream of HTTP events. Okay, so which likely to be a HTTP response. So HTTP handler is a injectable. Okay, so in that HTTP interceptor I have added these lines of code, so I'll describe this course as well. So before that, what I'll do is I just check the step by steps here. So step number, in the same app.module.ts file, I need to register for HTTP interceptors for the response interceptors. Okay, so here I just click open the app.module.ts file. The same import section is here as common for both headers interceptor and response interceptor. So like import the HTTP interceptor, I just import the response interceptors, and inside the provider section I have added these lines of code for register our response interceptor like header interceptors. Okay, so this is the code of app.module.ts file for registering our interceptors. Okay, now step 4 is completed for headers.interceptor.ts file, and step 5 is I need to implement this code in the response.interceptor.ts file. So here I'll open the response.interceptor.ts file. So like this, while I created a header interceptor, it has two files. One is header interceptor.ts and header.interceptor.spec.ts. Okay, and same way for response is response.interceptor.ts file and response.interceptor.spec.ts file. Okay, so here I'll add these lines of code as I mentioned in my step number 5. Okay, so here these lines of code I have added for inside the interceptor method of response.interceptor.ts. So this will get the response time interceptor implementation. Okay, while I get the successful implementation, there will be a message like this response, hi Satyaprakash admin, the response succeeded within this time. Okay, you'll get the message in your response header. So this is the line of code for getting the response time interceptor implementation. Okay, so there is start time, and after start time I just map I just put here my map because it is a part of from RxJS. I have import from the RxJS. Okay, and if you put your mouse over, you can see here the map section, what is defined, and it has how many parameters. Okay, and after then there is one end time. Okay, so end time has the new date get time, and there is one response time variable, so constant, and here I just minus from end time from start time. Okay, so after minus from end time minus start time, inside console.log I have mentioned the URL. Okay, so this URL is nothing but that is the response URL, whatever the event we're getting response. Okay, and after then there will be a message, hi Satyaprakash admin, the response succeeded in response time, whatever time I'm getting from here after getting minus from end time minus start time, whatever times is remaining. Okay, so this response time will be shown here in MS. Okay, so after then the return event, and this is the closing line of our code. Okay, so remember on response.interceptor.ts, so I have added this code inside the HTTP interceptor, inside the intercept method. Okay, so this is the line of code for response.interceptor.ts file. Okay, yeah, I already have discussed this import sections as well. So step number 6 is in app.component.html file I need to add this lines of code for button click event. So I already have told you these things earlier, that is app.component.html file, this lines of code. On click event I have just used the get all members method. Okay, so what I'll do is I need to run my Angular application. So ng serve. So guys, here my Angular application compiled successfully, so I need to come to my browser and I need to refresh it. Okay, once it refresh this done, just right click on it, click on inspect element of your browser. Okay, and what I'll do is I just click on network tab. Okay, and network tab, click on this button of your Angular application. Once you click on it, there is employed, it is showing, right, employee URL, that is the REST API URL. Click on it. I'm getting the request header. So that output I already have shown you, that is API key should show as Satyaprakash admin, but we need to check for response interceptor. So if you click on response header, so there is time. Okay, now these things I can see in my different tab, that is console tab. If you click on console tab, so see guys, here I can see this is the URL. Okay, HTTP localhost. After then this is the message, hi Satyaprakash admin, the response succeed in 394 ms. Okay, so if you expand this array, I am getting these responses which are very similar to our REST APIs after consuming, right? Same way for different section, this is the URL for the REST API URL, which one I have called in my Angular application. After then this message is hi Satyaprakash admin, the response succeed in 29 ms. And after then if you just expand this, I'm getting the responses, right? These are the REST API response with the records. So this message I have configured in my response.interceptor.ts file. Okay, you can see these lines I already have described. So this line actually configured, that's why in my console tab of browser, after in my Angular application, I can see this message with the REST API URL and the message in what are the response time. Okay, so guys, there is one more thing we need to keep in mind, that this HTTP interceptor is most used when authentication and authorization are applied in the application. Okay, so guys, in this way we can implement HTTP interceptors, and we can also manage the multiple interceptors. Okay, and register the interceptors. So I need to come to my presentation. So these are the merits of HTTP interceptors, and I need to just recall it, the steps. So step number 1 and 2 is we need to add the HTTP interceptor for header and response. Step number 3 is we need to add this to register these two interceptors. Okay, and step number 4 is for header.http interceptors we can modify the headers. Okay, and step number 5 is in response.interceptor.ts file we just getting the response interceptor output, that is the response time interceptor implementation. This is the code. And inside on step number 6 is in app.component.html file we need to add a button click event, and inside we just call this method whatever the service it is calling. Okay, so these are all the steps, total 6 steps. So go to my presentation. Okay guys, so guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.